Today on Variant, I give you the history of these guys, the Suicide Squad. Welcome to Variant, where we love comics more than I can't wait to see the Suicide Squad movie tomorrow night. I'm your host, Arris. Before I get into today's episode, I want to let you guys know that our company, Triune Films, kicked off our web store's annual summer sale this past Monday. We've got Variant and filmmaker apparel, as well as amazing filmmaker assets like sound effects, royalty-free music, and our new muzzle flash and Let's Packs all on sale. So whether you're a fan of our shows, an aspiring filmmaker, or even a professional, there's something for everybody. The summer sale runs through this Sunday, but we also have extended flash sales through the end of the month. I put the link for all the details in the description, so definitely check that stuff out. But as I just said, Suicide Squad hits theaters tomorrow night, because let's face it, movies now premiere on Thursday nights instead of Friday nights. Anyway, since the movie is easily one of the most anticipated comic book movies of this year, and a lot of you have actually been asking for this episode since the trailer debuted last year, it's time to finally take you all through their comic book history. But we also added something extra. Last week we had the chance to head over to the Warner Brothers studio tour Hollywood to chat with them and take a look at several of the props and costumes from the Suicide Squad movie. So I'll be showing you some of that in today's episode. But with all that said, let's start talking about the world's most unlikely band of heroes, Task Force X, aka the Suicide Squad. Starting from the very beginning, the Suicide Squad was created by Robert Kanigher and Ross Andru. However, they were later drastically changed by John Ostrander. The original version of the team first appeared in Brave and the Bold issue 25 in September of 1959, and the modern version first appeared in Legends issue 3 in January of 1987, which is the year I was born. Now some of you may be like, wait, what? There were two versions of the Suicide Squad? And yes, there was. So let's go through the first version of the Suicide Squad because, well, they were first. They first appeared in the Brave and the Bold issue 25, as I just mentioned. The original Suicide Squad and/or Task Force X consisted of Rick Flag Jr., his lady love Karen Grace, Jess Bright, and Dr. Hugh Evans. In later continuity, it was revealed that this early incarnation of the team was made to fight off monsters, dinosaurs, and other threats, due to the fact that most of the Justice Society of America members had retired because of unjust accusations against them. Hey, no one said being a superhero was easy. Now, you know how I just said this was the first version of the Suicide Squad? Well, that might not be entirely true. I mean, they're technically the first version of the team to appear in comics, but we find out later on through flashbacks in Secret Origins Volume 2, Issue 14, that Rick Flag Sr. led a suicide squadron before his son during World War II. Apparently, during World War II, a unit of highly expendable men was formed, which gave them the nickname Suicide Squadron, as being assigned to the team was considered suicide. With that said, their history in comics was just barely recorded, so we don't know a whole lot about them. What we do know is when the war ended, the squad is put under the umbrella organization of Task Force X, and when Rick Flag Sr. sacrifices himself to stop the Nazi war wheel, weird name, I know, his last words are to have his son carry on for him. Rick Flag Jr. eventually becomes the leader of the team, bringing us full circle. Now that's how the team got started, but the modern version of the team we all know and love, led by Amanda Waller, uses supervillains as its team members, and it was first seen in Legends issue 3. The new team was created when the Suicide Squad files were found by Amanda Waller. She wanted to revive the program with a team of imprisoned supervillains, using a promise of freedom to gain their cooperation. So Waller assembled a new Task Force X, and Rick Flag was brought back as field commander working underneath her. As for the new members of the team, we have Bronze Tiger, who was enlisted for security, the assassin Deadshot, Flash villain Captain Boomerang, then Blockbuster and Enchantress. Their first mission was to take on Darkseid's fiery agent, the monster Brimstone. They were able to defeat Brimstone when Deadshot takes the creature down with an experimental laser rifle, but unfortunately Blockbuster died in the process. After that, Waller tried to keep the villains captive and under her control for longer, but Flag was all like, no, you have to release them because you promised. Soon after Captain Boomerang's release, he went on a crime spree, but G. Gordon Godfrey captured him and was going to execute him live on television. Task Force X was forced to rescue Boomerang when he threatened to reveal the existence of the team. Of course, Waller wasn't happy about his threat, so she tried to have Deadshot do what he does best and assassinate Boomerang. But thankfully for Captain Boomerang, Flag was able to resolve the problem non-lethally. After all of this, Waller personally took her case to President Reagan, at which point he decided to let the team continue on a provisional basis. And with her new authority, Amanda Waller sets up shop for Task Force X's operations in Belle Reve Prison. A new Task Force X team would be put together when President Marleau of Karak created a terrorist group called Jihad, which he planned to use to attack America. The team put together to stop this terrorist group consisted of Bronze Tiger, Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, Enchantress, Karen Grace, Mindboggler, Plastique, and of course Rick Flag as field leader. Now of course the Suicide Squad would undergo several changes over the years, with the team's lineup constantly changing. Some members would stay on the team for only one mission, while others would stay on board for quite a few. Task Force X has even been known to have non-supervillains join the group from time to time for various reasons. But anyway, let's skip ahead a bit in the Suicide Squad's history and talk about the New 52 version of the team, since that's the most current version of the team and the version the Suicide Squad movie seems to be pulling most of its inspiration from. And yes, I know Suicide Squad Rebirth issue 1 came out today, which it seems like it's going to change some things a bit for the Suicide Squad mythos going forward. But at the time of me shooting this video, it hasn't been released yet. But again, the New 52 version of the team is probably the most popular incarnation of the team, even though they've only been around for like 4 years. They became so popular that the Batman Assault on Arkham animated movie and the Suicide Squad live action film pulled heavy inspiration from this version of the team. With the launch of the New 52 reboot in 2011, the New 52 Suicide Squad is formed after a government mission goes wrong and forces Amanda Waller to kill a teammate who's been turned into some kind of monster thing. Because of this, Waller sets out to create a team of expendable soldiers. She wants to fight with people who deserve what bad things might happen to them, which means she wants to use prisoners with nothing to lose and everything to gain. As she puts it, she wants to create a Suicide Squad for field missions. Waller gets the okay from her superior and forces a bunch of death row inmates to take part in a series of extremely tough tests and torturous scenarios to evaluate their loyalty and value as potential members of the squad. The first members of this version of the team were Deadshot, who acts as the team's field leader since Rick Flag isn't in this version, Harley Quinn, El Diablo, Black Spider, Voltaic, and King Shark. They all had a microbomb implanted in their necks as a way for Waller to keep them in line. And just like that, they were inducted into the Suicide Squad. The New 52 Suicide Squad's missions usually involve killing or capturing high-valued targets. For example, in their first mission, they had to recover a newborn baby who carried the cure to a deadly viral outbreak. Then they had other missions where the team had to track down a rogue Harley Quinn. They also went after Resurrection Man. They even once went after a terrorist group that served as a tip of the hat to the Jihad organization from John Ostrander's original Suicide Squad series. One of my favorite arcs, however, is the several issues that delves into the twisted relationship between Harley Quinn and the Joker. That's always a fun thing to explore. We even see a twisted relationship build between Harley Quinn and Deadshot. It's even been hinted by Margot Robbie and Will Smith that we might see some sort of love triangle between Deadshot, Joker, and Harley Quinn in the Suicide Squad movie, which will make me extremely happy. The New 52 Suicide Squad title was eventually canceled after issue 30, and the new Suicide Squad title was launched in 2014, written by Sean Ryan with art by Jeremy Roberts. In this series, Amanda Waller is no longer the head of Arris, and the squad is now under the control of Vic Sage. He brings several new members to the team to join Harley Quinn and Deadshot in an attempt to make the team more effective. New members include Black Manta, Joker's daughter, and even Deathstroke, although he turns on the team early on in the series. Long story short, Waller is able to outsmart Sage and eliminate any threat towards the team. And bada bing bada boom, the squad returns to Belle Reve and the status quo is returned. As for Suicide Squad Rebirth issue 1, as I mentioned, it wasn't released at the time of me shooting this episode, but I can read you the summary for the issue. Quote, soldier, war hero, traitor, Captain Rick Flag was one of America's greatest military commanders before he was banished to a secret military prison. But after years of isolation, Flag's life changes forever when a woman called Amanda Waller offers him redemption in exchange for taking on the single most dangerous job in the entire DC universe, keeping the Suicide Squad alive. End quote. So it looks like we're getting back to the old school Suicide Squad, and Rick Flag will head the team once again, which could be really cool, especially if Deadshot and him clash a lot. Now, I think I've given you guys a pretty good overview of the team's history in comics over the years. I didn't mention every single portion of their history, but I'm sure you guys get the point. So let's move on to powers, weapons, and abilities with some of the team's most popular members. Not all the members the team has had over the years, but the more iconic and fan-loved ones. Let's start with Deadshot. Deadshot is hands down one of the best marksmen and assassins in the DC universe. He's in peak physical condition, and he's a highly trained soldier, being an expert in hand-to-hand combat, as well as being a master with all weaponry. He also wears highly protective body armor and is probably most known for his wrist-mounted machine guns, all of which is translated perfectly into the movie.
I know that the goal of so many costume designers and filmmakers is, while you want to put your own twist on it, you also want to stay true to as much as you can. And I feel like the Deadshot mask and his costume is such a nod to that. Like, we want this to be exactly how it looks in the comic, and I think that they did a bang-up job with it. So you see the rifle that we have here, which is only obviously one gun in his arsenal of weapons and guns, and he has something written on the gun that he also has written on like his collar, and that has a recurring theme, and it's a moniker: I am the light, the way.
There's also Captain Boomerang. He usually wears a beanie, scarf, and a long coat. He doesn't have any superhuman powers or abilities, and he's okay at hand-to-hand fighting, but he's no expert. His greatest strength is that he's extremely skilled in the use of boomerangs. He's created a wide range of weaponized boomerangs, even though he's had very little schooling. Some of his most popular boomerangs are explosive, collapsible, electric, weighted, acidic, and razor, which I cannot wait to see on the big screen.
Yeah, his costume, we have some of his special boomerangs, like we have his bomb boomerang. We also have a couple of his cans of beer. And the costume itself is, again, a newer adaptation of the boomerang because his costume in the comic book is kind of campy. The hat and the big scarf. So this is much more of, I think, a deep, like Australian, the Australian term that even Jai Courtney uses, like he's a bogan. And that is really where you get the new Captain Boomerang costume from.
And the last member I'm going to talk about is one of the most loved characters in all of comic books, Harley Quinn. Harley is immune to a wide range of assorted toxins. She is an impressive fighter and a great gymnast. In fact, her gymnast abilities are so good they rival Catwoman and Nightwing. She's also a genius. As for her overall appearance, she wears her classic jester costume, but in recent years, she pretty much just wears whatever she wants. She does usually stick to her black and red color scheme though. As for weapons, she has very unique ones, my two favorites being her handgun that has a large cork in it, and her huge mallet that she carries around to knock people out. I love that we even see her holding her mallet briefly in the trailer.
Well, the costumes themselves are really glitzy. They're very blingy, and one of the big tags that they've been kind of selling with that is that it's like the rich kids of Instagram. So it's a really, really indulgent version of Harley Quinn and Joker. Harley has her bat with her and she has her mallet. She really does play that role of the jester, and the mallet makes perfect sense. She has things written on them. I dare you to come here in person and try to read what's written on the bat and the mallet.
Freaking amazing, right? Of course, as we know, there are several members of the team in the film that I didn't mention, but we got a chance to see some of their costumes and weapons as well during our visit at the Warner Brothers studio tour. We'll be posting the entire tour tomorrow in all of its DC Universe glory, so keep your eye out for that. But now, friends, this brings me to the reading recommendations. You have Legends Issue 3, Secret Origins Volume 2 Issue 14, Suicide Squad Volume 1 Trial by Fire, Suicide Squad Kicked in the Teeth, New Suicide Squad Volume 1 Pure Insanity, and New Suicide Squad Volume 2 Monsters. First up for Wednesday, August 3rd, we have Harley Quinn Issue 1. Welcome back to Harley Quinn's crazy world on Coney Island. Now get ready to wave goodbye because everyone there just might get eaten alive. Now we have Nightwing Issue 2. He's back in blue and black, and this is a must-read for any fan of Nightwing. And finally, we have Suicide Squad Rebirth Issue 1. Putting it simply, it looks like Rick Flag is going to be back doing what he does best, keeping the Suicide Squad alive. And that brings another episode of Variant to a close, but before I go, I just want to give a big thank you to Lens Pro To Go for hooking us up with some awesome gear. If you ever need some cameras or gear to rent, be sure to check them out. I put the link for them in the description below. I also want to thank the Warner Brothers Studio Tour for letting us come back and film all the awesome props from Suicide Squad. It was a ton of fun, so be on the lookout for an episode tomorrow that'll give you the tour in its entirety. But again, remember, you can always like our Variant Facebook page to keep up with the show and all things comic related. You could also follow Variant on Twitter at Variant Comics or this face on Twitter at Arris_Quinones. But I'll see you guys next week when I what? Talk about all things comics. Water break.
I'm gonna eat the other hand. No, I'm gonna eat this hand. I'm gonna eat this hand, and then you're gonna eat this hand, and now I'm making hand puppets, and they're eating each other.
I'm broken.